So this page is all about, the reason why I call it stream of consciousness communication practices is because it is a practice to understand the multitudes of voices that are streaming in your consciousness. And so you get a variety of voices with people with bodies, those who interpret their perspective through art, fiction. There's a lot of journalists who have turned to artistic ways to report what they're witnessing, what they've seen. And you have teachers who have established this secret, dimensional realm where you can actually choose the storyline and make it what you want it to be. However, it is, like in a collective loop that you can do this in. However, the quantum jumpers forgot to go back in their own time and plug in the missing pieces. And I'm just now, this is the reason why I feel like stream of consciousness is important, is I'm just now getting that. I've been angry with my grade school teacher for a while because that is when I started noticing abuse tactics starting to pick up in my own life, as and then you start waking up and there's a realization that there's more people involved with your feeling bad, we'll say, than you assumed, and that you are probably most indeed that tower moment for that favorite teacher. Like there was a reason why you were attracted to that, or why that mentor mattered to you in the moment. And I'm starting to, I was mortified at some of the ways that I wasn't able to just kind of follow suit. And so I started doing this practice to try to understand myself better, because this isn't something that you go doggy paddling, swimming, or fishing for answers. This is something that is within, and what is within is scary as it's scary. And when you start getting things that are not in a collective loop or understanding, it's even scarier. So I do this page to assist, or to put myself out there. For one, shop is coming up. To put myself out there, for one, I need everything in my fucking life right now. And I've been needing everything in my life, and come to find out, my stubbornness around stuff was knowledge of what they were doing with witchcraft, on top of writing on a rich girl's dad's energy. Not a place you want to be. You have the knowledge, but you do not have the ability to take the steps to get yourself out of your situation unless you're jumping. And if you jump, when you jump, you are not in, you don't have those building blocks to create success in that jump. You might get your rocks off a little bit. Some stuff may be validated for you on an instant gratification level. However, that it ends up being really hard, and then add meta. And so this is kind of where I'm starting to understand. I call it Papa. Like the old patriarchal system is where he's like but do see like do see like that's it is, because the coercion and the persuasion around women. And I feel like that realm, that dimensional realm, says it everything. I mean, you have men trying to be women and turning themselves into competition with a woman and doing everything a woman, I think your message, sir, is to heal your mother wounds and your femininity, and either live as a man or die. Like, seriously. And so, there's so much more to life that can be done with that money and those surgeries and stuff. And charitable cause, like, sex changes, to me, is not a fucking charitable cause. It is some pervert's fantasy to continue, because, like, if you think about it, sex, like, there's a reason why people fiend off of it. We just don't think about it in manners that assist us in having pleasurable experiences with it, and those in the know run with that shit and create noise and circumstances and shit like that to keep people from their personal individual success. And Anadea Judith had described it in one of her books at one time, that our issue is judgment. And that's kind of far from the truth. Our issue is established, like the brick and mortar static, our established systems, not taking accountability, as that shit's embarrassing. If you go way back in time where you had people inbreeding themselves to keep the power and the bloodline. These are all misunderstandings, by the way. This is misinterpretation. This is why this stuff should be opened up to most, if not all, people, which social media gives us that ability to not have higher amounts of manipulation, control tactics around success, and that's what I found with most of the videos that I found with people of color. There's some kind of weird, like, trick that actually, kicks you down and stomps on you and holds you back more than helps you. And, if you're mad at the white man, you get, like, look at how they develop their system, and how there's a lot of things within their programs, we'll say, that are charitable, that is charity, and that acts straightforward. Why? Because they've learned through that. They understand what not to fucking do, even though some of them do it on a sneak, and it's just come to my realization that the people who are regurgitating tower moment, I'm the tower moment. There's, like, some in-depth truth to that stuff that should be taken into consideration, because those who have been fudging the system for a long time actually have a chance to course correct. So that's why we have all this hazing, shame tactics, and all this crap. Because, like, if you actually showed up authentically with your story, villain or hero, victim or perp, if you actually did that in a manner that assists people to grow, which most villains chose to play that role to help other people grow, by the way. And then you get some, hormonal teenagers in their upcoming and rising, and they're so smart, and then they program their containers and turn men into women, literally, so that they can have playthings. And that is walking tower moment. That is what our fathers did to women. So the stream of consciousness aspect of this is to understand how to speak about this stuff confidently. I'm putting it out there. However, it is up to you to discern. As long as I'm not snaking you with anything, it is up to you to discern through that block and loops of information that I am providing you to understand yourself with it. Not to beat somebody else over the head with it. And some people just notice, like, oh, which I think is like the birthing of future trades and stock trades, is people are like, and started to raise the vibration, probably on a heartbreak from the opposite sex, and started utilizing these personalities to win at a game nobody wins at, by the way. And so one of the things that I wanted to highlight today is that my misunderstanding, my body understands the agreements I made before, like in my unbodied self, my undream time, simulation self. And my body is in refusal to play any of those games with these companies that think they're oh so clever and they think they're triple dipping. Well, what's going on with that is that these entities that are very much like humans are triple dipping into your ass. And it is imperative that we have some kind of dialogue starting so that we don't continue to create atrocities that are unnecessary in this day and age to make a buck or two. Haven't you noticed a lot of you who make money in these ways, like these pop stars and these artists are telling you that they have other avenues of income, they have other avenues of balancing their scales out. Some know what they're doing, some don't. And so, like, a lot of you who chose to do the mining route basically got yourself stuck in your own trap, and the money doesn't last. It's not allocated. You're not, like, it's not allocated in ways that could actually benefit you and your community. And so that's why we get a lot of these charitable mental health nonprofit types of organizations that tank, because they're depending on you to do their work. They're doing for you, like, they're pretending to do what you need to be doing to begin with. And it worked for a little bit, and I feel like God allows that type of stuff, these entities allow that stuff to occur for the purpose of healing. And if you don't get it, you just don't get it. And like, you really do pay life consequences. And I'm starting to realize my ignorance and my ignoring that stuff is my karma. But to, like, understand and know this, even though I had reached a space of nirvana bliss, I was happy with nothing. That is some hippy dippy bullshit that these rich men were pulling on their rich wives so that they could have control over that domains. Dig deeper, and there's, like, energetic agreements too. Start dealing with the energies at hand that really put humans in that fallen state. And you want to be somewhat fallen, because that is why you're here in a body. It's the variety. If you're connected to your elements, if you're connected to your soul, you'll understand the beauty and the variety and everything. Like, and understand, like, creativity is there's a reason why, like the standard educational system suppresses art and music and dance the way that they do. And I'm starting to realize why, because bitches be crazy and we don't have the ability to balance hormones. We have the ability, but we're not looking towards that as a solution. We're looking towards the reaction of that, and people reacting to those circumstances as the solution. So the stream of consciousness on here, I'm moving away from that. I want to put more this type of stuff more on YouTube, and make my TikTok more of a standard. Like what they designed TikTok for is to have an entertaining way to shop. And I will have my workbooks available as well. However, I really do want to work and get into displaying products that I see on here. And from my understanding, it is, basically, it's Russian roulette when you order stuff on here. So I'm giving it a try on that other side, just to see if that's something that, if TikTok is something that I actually align with. I don't align with snaking people out of their hard-earned money. However, with that said, I understand being a walking tower moment, and it doesn't matter if you're in admiration of that person or how much good stuff that they've done. Sometimes their warnings were not heeded, and their own bullshit, and for some of these people, their lineage baggage is coming back after them due to trying to dump more on women, like women of color, poverty types of, they start utilizing frequency as a way to impose their points of view without saying a word. And from what I understand, sitting the fuck down and, normalizing a little bit, and sometimes shutting up, sometimes not. I am starting to understand the difference between entities that are a collective consciousness of people and bodies, entities themselves, like souls that were like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, I'm staying here to try to help this, because and between like those actual masters, those, like your Jesus folk and your Jesus pieces and your God fearing, like there's just layers upon layers upon layers to understand this stuff, and each and every one of your perspective and your success is important in that. And if like some of you are acting out parts to be a part of a collective body, and like that's the thing, is like it's the way that that's being misinterpreted is harmful to those that are actually making progress with the way that like, because the way that they think, the way that motivates them was triggered. They're making progress in this, however their intentions are trash, and then we turn around and build telegrams with people who shame that, and hook up. I won't, I don't, if you are interested in any shape or form in touching this body or even speaking to this body these days, you have to talk to me, because I don't date older men who mess around with women in their 20s and younger. I don't do that. That is an obvious emotional maturity gap that I do my best not to judge really harshly because of what I just said about karma and walking tower moments. That I do understand those people get their asses handed to them and then some. Anyway, yeah, so I just kind of wanted to bring this bumbly at, my last video, Source Pays Rent series. It turned out to be a series, and it just keeps coming, and it keeps getting broader and broader, and I'm not in that ultra religious mindset that I was deprogramming in some of these experiences that I had. That was indeed my karma because of the ignorance, the path of ignorance that I chose. And I chose that path innocently. And I was like, I still get karma. Well, what is going on with me is I'm lucky enough to have karma as instant as gratification. Because there's more ways to exchange and barter and pay for your existence. So I'm lucky enough to have lived through some innocent mistakes that I've made so that I have the ability to move forward with an abundant mindset. And I'm sorry if you're snaking people to get a sale or you're stuck with the story, that's just what the people want. That's not abundance to me. It's desperation. And you basically are in need of something other than what you're doing. Brings me to a teacher or two. I want to say I know one definitively is Venusian, and on a entity. I don't know how true the planets are, how not I don't know how true they are. I just know that they're real, and when I say true, that take away any programming or simulation, you have that left, which is the human body. So some of the stuff that you guys are deeming your real reality is, a little tricky there, because it's true at the same time. Which also helps me understand some of the desperation and the grubbiness. And they got Grubhub. They just rolled with that too. I do have a set of guides that are they are not politically correct. However, they are right. Not righteous. They just tell it like it is. Some of these groups of people highlight and capitalize off of that and name it like it is. And one of them, a food delivering service, is Grubhub, and that is another way to snake you out of your abundance that you're not paying attention to. Either way, it's a form of acting upon a lack that doesn't really exist, but we're creating it. And usually that lack mindset is created because of jealousy, envy, and fear. And then a lot of people just slapped the label of love on it and called it good. No. Love is not to fuck. I found that culmination of entities and beingness that's not to mess with, because she will get her last dig in. And she's like, I've just had the gift of basically what you would call abuse by the unseen realms. And I'm laughing, but like I really have been distraught at how I was treated by these, like by all of these beings and people, and I did attempt to take my own life. So with that said, the stream of consciousness on here, communication practices, is just that. And to try to set the stage, the precedent, the trend, whatever the fuck we need to like sink it in, that nobody gets away with anything. Like if you knew that already, I know that already. So there's a lot of hard moments that are hard decisions that I've had to make with some very elder like entities that get away with certain things very easily with people. And because I have that overlay of education, I understood what to say no to, because they are very clever, they are very tricky, and they feed, like a lot of them feed off of vanity. So hence the school marm, or that teacher role, trying to move you more away from those behaviors, actions, of attitudes of vanity. But really sometimes vanity will also save your life, because that is self-care. It helps you understand how to love yourself, because there's more than just you as a human in the co-creation of you. So these talks are becoming longer and longer. I'm becoming more and more confident. I'm becoming in the realization that I need more than just my looks and my hard work to create space for myself. And and to take this stuff a little bit more seriously, because I'm in realization my tower moment is this situation around activities that are intended to be fun for people, and to help them help the stuck ones ease through a little bit, and lower this part a little bit. But I'm not focusing on Trump, Elon Musk, or any of that. I'm not focusing on smearing people at all. Actually, I want to focus on raising the vibration, and making some of these activities less vulnerable to manipulation, to where people are literally, like, there's one, literally when people are losing their lives, it's not a game anymore. And more, I feel like the rise in video games and what's acceptable these days is like, that's the message. That's the collective global message. When we have people okay with treating others like that, and then we put it in the guise of evolution, and some of those pathways for people is real. Some people will go that way because they cannot resolve, and it's stuff as simple as that. And then in my opinion, it is due to the manipulating education and cheating people out of their purpose, their pathway. And so that's kind of what I found is like, my misunderstandings with some things that was intended to help me was actually, it was very negative but positive as well for those, those people, because they get to start to understand their choices a little bit more and better. And the telephone game thing, like where, we have other people reeling. To me, it's like how life is set up with, like you enslave people, you trick them out of their own abundance, and you're so confident, like that's like what you got to see with that stuff. The service industry is so confident in their intentions that they allow people that they abuse severely to serve them food, wipe their ass when they're sick. This stuff's powerful. And we learn this stuff through ego, and our ego is saying, yo, that's don't be. And like the manifestation of that, and the combination of some of these soul driven dimensions, realms, realities, actually, like it was supposed to be a pun and like make fun of you for moving towards the activism space rather than the creative abundant space to resolve some of what is, and like a lot of that stuff too is like it's the addiction mindset, and again the lack of adequate nutrients you need for your body to function on a different level. And so there's literally people who would rather go to their grave than own what the fuck they have done to others, that they've gotten away with. But like, I just think about it, I was just like, let me get this right. You're gonna shove it in people's face, glamorize their servitude in terms of making them wrong and bad and embarrassed and shameful, and then you're going to expect them to serve you, which the nursing home is a sheer example of that, where these people are still feasting off your servitude and your peanuts for pay. That is confidence in the unseen, the unknown, the hard to describe. That is sheer confidence that these people are rubbing in your face. Hence, you want to tell stories about Dick and Jane and how, like, they may or may not have hurt Jill. When really, like, the stuff that you were handed can actually feed all of them and help them heal substantially, while you are still enjoying what you're still trying to hide. And I feel like it's just like that missing thought process that has people like that. It's like that connection that we have as humans, where like things that like now we know that it's not socially acceptable to do to children, and children who have the reins should not have the ability to do that to adults, to put them in those roles either. Point blank, period. Again, it's one of those pun, like rubbing in your face types of things, like types of activities that these older elements, they, you know, like, yeah, they're playing with you. They're fucking with you. Your most successful one, that they're fucking with them. And putting them on display, and, you know, feeding into their vanity and their, you know, like, yeah. In case you notice, yes, they are. But it's probably not the person that you put under hypnosis to be your servant. And matter of fact, you should probably allocate those funds in ways to actually help those people live in abundance before it actually catches up with you. And those who are in those spaces, you know, understand that you have choices. And if you choose to play that role, you choose to play that role, and then like, you're not the victim of that. And if you get your children involved, like, you're choosing to play that role, And I've had the opportunity to sit in trust fund women's karma to understand what I'm just now telling you. That was a gift to help me see and understand stuff that's hard to describe. And to be able to walk away with that, with an understanding so deep. Help me understand what they were talking about when, you know, like what people are trying to create right now. Like, help me understand what that is. To understand that the systems you're fighting aren't going away. Bitch, we need kings. And some of y'all are fucking not that handy with the steel, the hammer, and you're hormonal as hell. So, like, I know from my human experience, I need a counterpart, and pornography's not gonna do it for me. I got a taste of the real deal, and been drooling ever since. So I think what I want to do with all of this is use TikTok for fun and PR stuff, and, you know, pull back from the stream of consciousness stuff. I really like TikTok because the ability to do, you know, the what's available for editing is amazing. And, you know, like, and it's postable to other pages and stuff, so other platforms. So that's why I do like that. However, I'm really understanding and realizing, like, yes, this is a lifestyle business. However, like, my life, you know, like, I know, I understand it. There's just certain things that has to be paid attention to. And even though it is, and I'm going to call it out, it is a strategy of another woman to create circumstances to assist with me creating my own debt. So you're just banking on people having the inability to understand it in its entirety. And I hardly think that you actually understand it in its entirety yet. And just to remind those, because, like, I'm getting the stuff that we blame others for some of these people have been blaming others for a very long time, and they're plans have been, there's been a return on investment and a reinforcement, positive reinforcement in what they've been doing. And so, like, they're in full on trust with what they're been doing, what they've been doing. However, like, I am gonna choose to not outsmart the elements and do my best to use what I have and move on, and understand that those who put me in a certain storyline was projecting, and to lick my wounds and move forward, but also understand the mission for what it is. And try to take as less casualties that, like, that don't have exit points. Like enough of that shit. As possible. Granddaddy Pert is definitely, I've seen that, they can, and there's a lot of you that are still in the gladiator days where you just want to sit in your circle and point and laugh at those who are having to eat their own crow and put on public display, and it's like okay, that's enough. That's enough. And these kids thinking that their hero is what's very much so in existence with the elements and the weather. However, to have somebody be your hero is to have somebody to push you back from what is rightfully allocated to you. So, which I found there's that, like, the upcoming classes that are coming is basically helping you remember and supporting you and doing very simple things. And if you've been plagued with download brain, to pull you back from that and help you implement and maintain simple energetic strategies so you're not getting caught up in something that is inevitable in life, and helping you be well on your way so that you understand how to control yourself enough to be able to allocate the funding that you get, no matter where you get it from, the funding that you get into thriving lifestyles, and your return on investments is larger. I'm telling you, when you're not scared of retaliation. So that was a 40-minute talk, and this is why I'm pulling back, and I need dance in my life. I want to learn how to sing. The DJ stuff looks really fun. So I'm in need to pay my bills and explore in a different manner. And Source Pays Rent is kind of the beginning of the end of this type of presentation. And I'm not sure if I'm going to keep these videos, because what comes from me is within. And these videos have been put out there for you to have that. You've been told. It's I know there's times where I hit it on the mark, where I can describe some of this stuff on point as to where you can understand that. Take it or leave it. And that's kind of what I realize is, like, those who actively went out of their way to counteract my little low self, their consequence is enough. Like, they don't get this. They don't get what's with it. So, and if you missed it, you missed it. Your life will teach you accordingly. I am a bit little salty about how some people assume that it's okay to treat me like the fucking doormat. So, um, this is especially for the kids who decide to follow, even though they were shown what not to do. That's what they're doing. So, and a lot of it has to do with self-esteem. So, no matter how good you look. So, yeah, that's a wrap. And here I go, staying out of the way of even myself these days. Good day. And happy fucking holidays. I look forward to them.